Hey everyone, Pastor Mike here, trying to answer all the great questions from our fourth annual question and answer Sunday. And one that I didn't have a chance to cover on that Sunday was this. Where did the idea of the rapture come from? That's a good, how would I answer that in less than 6 hours, much less than 6 minutes? Well, I know where the word rapture itself comes from. It comes from a Latin translation of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. The Apostle Paul in that chapter is talking about the judgment day, when Jesus comes back, when the dead are raised, when everything is made new. And he says, starting in verse 13, "Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep or grieve like the rest of men who have no hope. We believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring in Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him." And here's the passage. "According to the Lord's own word, we tell you that we who are still alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, will certainly not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. After that, we who are still alive and are left will be raptured together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." Now, my Bible translation doesn't say rapture, but the Latin translation of the Bible, called the Vulgate, had the word rapiemur, to be caught up. So my Bible says, "We who are left will be caught up together with the dead in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." So that's where the word comes from, that on the judgment day, Jesus is going to bring us with him. He's going to renovate the whole earth, and we will get to live body and soul with Jesus and all of God's people for all eternity. And now some people, and maybe you're one of those people, have heard of this idea of the rapture, that at some time in human history, zoop, all the Christians are going to kind of get zapped out of earth, and all this crazy stuff is going to happen on our planet before the final judgment of Jesus. Well, I probably don't have time in this video to get into all the history of that and where that belief sometimes comes from. It's really chapters like this that guide me to a different conclusion. That instead, the coming of Jesus will be like a thief in the night. That when people are caught up with him in the air, it's the same time that the trumpet is sounded, that the dead are raised, all these things that we know happen on the final day, the judgment day. And so there is no separate rapture in what I teach and believe from the scriptures. That's going to challenge some of you in some pretty intense ways. Maybe you were raised with that teaching. But I think if you would go through the New Testament and find all the descriptions of what happens when the dead are raised, what happens when Jesus returns, what happens when the archangel calls, put all those together, and you would find out that they're not different and separate days. It's just one day, what we call the judgment day. So the idea of the rapture, I'm not sure where that false teaching first originated, but I do know that the word itself comes from 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, a description of the last day when Jesus returns. Thanks for a great question.